You've unlocked a roundtable.
Hello and welcome to Lost Levels Roundtable discussion of Hardcore Henry. My name is Chris Levon. With me is Alex,
Hello.
and we just watched Hardcore Henry.
We did the first person action movie.
Yeah, it's do you like Call of Duty?
Yeah, it's a pretty decent series. It has its up and downs.
Yeah, this is essentially what I felt like good people who play Call of Duty would be.
Yes.
Because they're I don't know, because it's all first person. It's just definitely interesting. I was kind of worried about getting motion sickness, so honestly took a motion sickness pill beforehand just in case. I didn't know I didn't know what to expect. I don't really necessarily get sick during like obviously first person games, but like for whatever reason, uh, a couple games have kind of triggered that in me. So I was kind of worried that this might do that, but I didn't feel that way. It was okay. I didn't feel jarring. It didn't feel um like Blair Witch Project with like the shaky cam movements or anything. That honestly made me a little bit of sick.
Oh, I never saw Blair Witch, but I did see Cloverfield, and that didn't affect me at all. I did not take any sort of motion sickness pills, but I felt fine afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get sick at all. Maybe felt a little disoriented afterwards, but that just could have been the beer.
Fair enough. So Hardcore Henry plays like a video game essentially. You kind of wake up. Okay. Well, first before we even go into it, our roundtable discussions are spoiler free at the very beginning because we do a full review. But listen after the credits, I'm going to a full spoiler discussion. So just giving you a heads up on that. So it kind of starts off with you getting acquainted with yourself and who Henry is and getting some cyborg ligaments kind of attached to him.
Yeah.
And then the story progresses from there. But it's an interesting thing. It kind of makes you feel exactly like a video game in that regard. What did you think about the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, it gets that almost a tutorial feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is your cyber arm. It's stronger. This is your cyber leg. It's stronger.
Yeah, it's like look right, look left type of.
Yeah, it felt very like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's what it kind of totally put me into that mindset of a video game. And I don't know. Where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with story wise? Do you want to start with um, the action scenes?
I mean, I guess if we're trying not to go in spoilers, we'd have to go with the action scenes, right? So, I mean, the action scenes are there. I mean, there's outside of the first person perspective, I don't feel like there's anything unique about it, and I felt that after a while it was just kind of dragging on. It's like, okay, how many hallways can you see him go down and shoot people?
Yeah, it's like the novelty kind of wears off. Although it was a little bit. I was more engaged, weirdly enough, towards the end of it. But I did feel the same way you kind of did, where the luster of it kind of diminished quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But then still at the end, I was still into it enough that I was, I guess, enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean they changed they changed the scenes enough, and they changed the type of action enough as well. You would have the running type of parkour action, then you'd go into gunfighting. Then back to some hand to hand, which I don't think the hand to hand really worked that well because everything was too shaky that you just couldn't really get beat on everything. It was kind of confusing, I felt.
That's true. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And then, like in terms of story, obviously we won't go into the story beats maybe till after the or in the spoiler section. But it totally felt like a video game story.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, even down to the bad guy.
Yeah, it was a very video game story. So that being said, it's not very complex. It's kind of just is it exists.
Yeah.
It's the typical kind of first-person shooter storyline where you're playing the game because you want to play a first-person shooter, and then there's a story like, oh, okay, I guess I'll pay attention to the cutscenes on the story and stuff. And that's what this kind of felt like. You were playing like a first-person game, and then like the story's kind of just there.
Yeah. No. But even in those sequences, it was just very like, bro. Like, they all just kind of felt like they were going towards that alpha male mentality. Like, down to the opening line of the film where it's like, you're such a pussy. It's like, okay.
It sets the tone.
Yeah, it totally sets the tone, so.
Like, this is what you're going to get from this movie. But yeah, it is what it is. It's an attempt to try something different in cinema, so I applaud it for that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some decent or kind of cool elements to it.
There are some, yeah.
And the story, albeit very trivial, very kind of just blah, it still kind of kept me going for the most part till the end. I liked the one guy who is in District 9.
Oh, Shrek Copley.
Yeah, I can't say his name.
Something like that, yeah. He played a major role. I think he helped produce or something like that.
Okay, yeah, he also plays Murdoch in the A-Team movie that came out.
He does a great job.
He is awesome. Honestly, he is the reason why I enjoyed some of this film.
You got a lot of range from him, and, you know, while there's not a lot of acting in this movie, what he does is really good, but what everyone else does is just kind of stiff and boring.
Yeah.
So Charlotte really, or whatever, he really shined in this. He made it very entertaining.
He was the reason why I was still engaged towards the end, because he was just a shining star as opposed to just everything else. So like if he wasn't in this movie, or like his character wasn't really in this movie, then this movie would have been really bad.
Oh yeah,
this would have just been like a tech demo to something that they're trying to do different with movies or cinema, and that would have failed miserably. But however, he carried it to the point that I would honestly say that I enjoyed this more than I thought I would.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he definitely made. Well, I didn't really go into this movie with many expectations, or any expectations for that matter. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or hate it, and I really enjoyed him. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the few things I really enjoyed about this movie, though.
Right. Yeah, he is, for me personally, like, he is this movie. Like, without him in this movie, then this movie would have just been dog shit. Right. But it's there. There's enough there to honestly make it watchable. Mm-hmm. Sorry. So what about the other characters? Like, we talked about the main villain. He is kind of just vanilla, very cookie cutter.
Right. I don't know. It's just a very odd character as well. It's eccentric to the point where it's nauseating, which is ironic because you would think the motion would be the nauseating thing in this movie.
Exactly, yeah. And his character is not really explained or anything. Like, his powers. He just has these powers, and he essentially just keeps on pushing people away or throwing people.
Yeah, he has telekinetic powers, and it's like, oh, okay, are we going to get into that at all? Like,
like, how did he get these powers? None of that stuff. He just has them.
Yeah.
And he's going to be.
And he's crazy for whatever reason, and super rich and powerful and influential, apparently, for whatever reason.
Yeah, a typical video game villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to explain it. It's just there, and you have to overcome him.
It's like a douchey version of Pagan Min from from Far Cry 4 with telekinetic powers.
Okay. But yeah, it's that. I mean, that's essentially it. There's no great villain that you care about. There's no anything. It just kind of exists. The female lead who plays I I don't really want to go into spoiler sections, but she plays the female lead in this movie. You see it in the trailers. She is the love interest for Henry.
Right.
And very vanilla cut,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's no depth to her role at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of exists, and she's there, and she's attractive. She kind of reminded me like a poor man's Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I guess she's really attractive. I wouldn't say poor man in this terms of her physical attractiveness, but definitely of her acting. Yeah.
Yeah,
like this is a budget Jennifer Lawrence if you're looking for a cheap actress.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, there's no Oscar nomination coming her way.
No. Really, from that, there's not that much. I mean, they purposely made Henry not talk, which is a standard type of first-person shooter type of thing.
Yeah, very tropey.
So you could feel like you are that person, as opposed to watching through the eyes of of a person who talks, like Master Chief or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but just for it being a movie, that the first person perspective doesn't make it feel more immersive, which is what I guess they're trying to go to. But because in a sense, you're still not controlling anything. It's still, you're along for this ride, so it's not that much of an immersive experience and doesn't add too much to it. And so I feel like, having it a voiceless protagonist just serves that purpose of not doing anything to add immersion, because there's no immersion whatsoever, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just there's so much of this is video game tropes that we've seen all these before. If you played games, you've seen this movie essentially. Like, there's not much to it.
Like, there's scenes I feel are ripped straight out of Modern Warfare, the original.
Yeah. When you're watching the trailer, like, do you like Captain America? It's like, yeah. Do you like Jason Bourne? Yeah. Like, do you like Call of Duty? Yeah, of course. Okay, well then this movie's for you. And
which it's really just Call of Duty. I didn't get any Captain America. I didn't get any Jason Bourne out of it. It's just straight up Call of Duty.
Yeah, I don't get those things either. It's like, okay, there's a lot of cool violence, I guess.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the type of movie where you can go there and say, it's worth. I guess it's interesting, but then you'll immediately forget it on Monday.
Yeah, totally.
It's that type of movie like, whatever, I saw it, and you move on with your life. There's no substance there. There's no like water cooler discussion. Like, oh my god, that scene was freaking amazing.
Right.
There's none of that. It's just like, okay, you witnessed. I don't even know. Was it an hour and a half?
Maybe, yeah.
And that still felt kind of long, because after you get to those points where like, okay, this is what this movie is, you still have another hour of this movie to go. And if it wasn't for that one dude, seriously, this movie would have been really, really bad.
Yes.
So there's really nothing else to talk about. Like, again, because there's no substance to this movie.
Yeah.
You can't go into like the direction of it. You can't go into.
I mean, granted, the stunts are great. They pull off some really cool things, and I mean, it's applaud for that effort. But some of the CG was awful as well. Like, just it looked like a music video from the early 2000s when they just started putting more CG and those types of things.
And maybe that's what they were kind of going for.
No, they shouldn't have, because that was a bad idea if that's what they wanted.
I don't know, like, it totally reminded me of like those, not current gen first person shooter games. It reminded me of like those 90s, early 2000s shooter games, and it totally felt like that. So maybe that was an aesthetic thing that they were trying to go for. Now, I'm not trying to justify it by any means.
Right.
But maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like the med packs, and like it was just like it was. It is what it was.
Yeah, exactly. And which is say not much.
Yeah, there was a couple musical cues that I thought, like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Uh,
I guess. I mean, they're towards the end they do musical cue that we've seen before and done a lot better in other movies.
True. So, final thoughts.
Uh, it's it's not a terrible movie. There's some things here that are entertaining, but in the end, it's really not worth going to the theater and spending a good portion of your day to go watch it. Like, this is definitely something, like, if it's on Netflix, sure, put it on. You may find some enjoyment out of it, but you'll probably never end up watching it again after that.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. Like I went when we were driving back from the theater, I went online and I looked at like the ratings for it, and audiences seem to be more favorable about it than like it wasn't split down the middle. I think it was around the 77 or 8 mark out of 10,
Okay.
and which isn't bad. Audiences seem to enjoy it for the most part, and I fall in the same boat. I don't hate this movie. I don't think it was horrible. I didn't love it by any means. It is kind of forgettable, but at the same time, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay.
If 10 movies came out like this in the next year, I think I would be like, okay, they're really saturating this market and it's not good.
Right.
But for a one-off different type experience, I'm like, yeah, okay, it was enjoyable. I'm okay with it. So would I recommend it? Maybe for a matinee, maybe for, like you said, Netflix. I wouldn't actively go pay like theater prices for it.
No.
So check out a matinee or check out like if there's a discount day at your movie theater that you have nothing else to watch.
Go to a dollar theater or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be great. I'd go check out this movie for $1 or $2 at one of those low end theaters and just have some action, I guess.
Yeah, veg out a little as things explode and people get shot repeatedly.
Yep. All right. So Alex, how can we reach you?
You can follow me on Twitter. My name there is Alex Sandberg, AlexSanberg, or email me directly at the website, alex@lostlevel.com. How about you, Chris?
I am on twitter.com/calmintensity. I also am on Instagram, which is Chris's Calm. And those are the two that I usually use the most. And we have social media for lostlevel.com. It's all in the upper right-hand corner of lostlevel.com, actually, all the links to everything. We're also on YouTube, so if you're at work, wanted to listen to some of our reviews or listen to anything, have some background noise going, go on YouTube, follow Lost Level there, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon, and hang on for spoilers. All right, spoilers.
Spoilers.
All right, so this is just a huge video game trope movie. I mean, it's just non-stop. Even to the fact that his wife really isn't his wife.
Oh, the betrayal and everything. Yeah, yeah.
Like that's like totally video game.
Well, I mean, the fact that you have a character that doesn't have any memory is also such a huge video game trope.
Yeah, that's true too. And the character that we did I liked the clone aspects to it, where he has a whole bunch of different characters.
Oh yeah, his various avatars that he is just plugging into.
That was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
It's video gamey, but still cool.
It's also very James Cameron-y, but yeah.
Oh, well.
He fucking calls them avatars.
Okay. Well, yeah. They're still making a sequel of that.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
But I mean, then you look at the word avatar and how much that's associated with
The Last Airbender.
That and just video games.
Oh.
Your video game avatar. So I mean, I get it from that aspect, and it also kind of gives an impression of multiple lives in the game. You could die and restart.
Yeah, and essentially that's what happens with this character. He has just different bodies and different personalities that he kind of just uses.
Yeah, and I'll just get blown away.
Right. I was really engaged when we went to his
base
or his fortress
lab or whatever. Yeah.
When we got to that point, I was like uber engaged.
Oh, when he started dancing and singing,
and you had all these different avatars like popping up and popping down and doing different things. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is kind of interesting. from the nonstop boring violence that we got before that.
Right.
It was something different, and it re-engaged me into the movie up until the climax of it, where you just had 100 Agent Smiths on the screen just attacking.
Right.
And that's really all it was. I mean, at the end, you just have that huge fight where you're just fighting a whole bunch of different clones or whatever, cyborgs,
cyber soldiers or whatever they called them.
and apparently, like, Henry is just so much stronger than everybody else.
It seems that way.
Because he is just annihilating all these guys like nothing. It's kind of like watching a TV show where they try to have ninjas in there, and they're always fighting ninjas, and the ninjas get beaten by like one punch, or they like get taken out by these people who should not be fighting ninjas,
Right.
and who would seriously die in a heartbeat if they actually came across a ninja. But no, they can take down a gang of ninjas with easy punches and one kick, and they're down for the count. Which that's what it kind of felt like with this. Just like he's just going through these guys like they're butter, and it's just boring.
Yeah.
It doesn't get exciting. There's no cool elements to it. There's no exciting new stuff to it aside from the first person perspective of it. But the kills are just kind of whatever. And
yeah, it felt like Neo fighting all the Agent Smiths.
Yeah,
that just got boring after a while.
Yeah, that kind of went on too long, and then you finally get to the end boss fight, and again he has to have these special powers
for whatever reason that we don't go into.
And he conveniently has bodies lifting up from the ground where Henry could jump from platform to platform.
And severs his head with his eye?
Apparently, yes. Yeah. He rips out his own eye and then he wraps it around the other guy.
Yeah, his retina cord or whatever is super long. Well, I mean, they're cyber eyes, I guess.
Makes sense.
But then apparently the wiring's strong enough that you could sever the upper half of his head from his mouth up from the rest of his body.
Right, and then shove it all back into your skull, and you're fine.
Exactly.
And then you can still see perfectly and not have any issues.
Oh, yeah. No calibration required.
Even though the rest of the movie was a lot of calibrations being required. And then all of a sudden this didn't matter.
No.
So then he grabs the leftover head and throws it onto the helicopter?
Yeah. I guess. And well, the rest of the body fell through the helicopter blades and got chopped up into the little pieces.
Right, and then your wife, you have that climax with your wife.
Yeah.
Who's not really your wife.
Exactly, but the main bad guy's wife. Tricking you.
Bastards.
To, I guess, put these memories into these cyber soldiers because emotion's the only thing that they couldn't get rid of. So they decided to give it an emotional
connection,
an emotional motivation.
Yeah, like a control type of thing, I guess. Should be a lot of work. I mean, what are you gonna have? Are you gonna simulate kidnappings for all of these guys? And are all these guys not gonna talk? But hey, that's the same ring I'm wearing.
That's weird. I don't know.
Hey, what's your wife look like? Hey, that looks like my wife.
She's cheating on me. Oh no, the bitch.
So then you have all these cyborgs fighting each other.
I don't know. I guess they just implant those memories and stream those memories to the soldiers.
Yeah, but like then
and just replace the name like they do in video games.
Right. Well, that's what they were doing. They all had different names, but they all had the same exact wife. So then, do they stage this kidnapping for every soldier though? Like that doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't. Like I said, I don't think they're staging the kidnapping. I think they're just implanting that memory, so they'll wake up and have those memories.
So weird.
Yeah.
You're not meant to think about this movie by any means, or the story, because the second you do, you're like, well, that doesn't fucking make sense. That's just stupid.
No. Yeah.
You know, that's unfortunately the thing that they did with this movie was they really just went for it in terms of video games. They did.
Yeah.
They didn't they could have really done a more thoughtful story to make it an interesting, engaging story.
But it wouldn't be as hardcore.
Right, like I felt like I was watching Duke Nukem at some point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, like the strip club and all that stuff. I'm like, this is very 90s teenage kid, adolescent, wet dreams.
Yeah. Like I said, it totally goes towards that bro.
Yeah,
Meter.
and then I felt like Duke Nukem elements, like totally,
Yeah.
like I felt like my dude would have been like, yeah,
Yeah. Him flicking off people and shit like that was very, like, well, of course, when you're doing a first-person thing like that, you have to show somebody flicking the other person off. Because we've all done that.
Yeah. I really would have liked to have seen a more interesting story in the first person. I don't know what they would have done or could have done, but for what it is, they knew what they wanted to do. They called it Hardcore Henry, and it is just like you said, it's like a bro adventure.
Right. Because, like, how do you have those memories of having sex with her?
Yeah, that was random.
Yeah, those, like, if
She did a sex tape,
I guess,
and for all of the guys,
and just put that in his mind. Okay,
and they implanted it.
that's sure.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
You have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys listening. Our next podcast is going to be, I believe, The Jungle Book,
Yeah, that's the idea.
which opens this week, or we might be doing a Lost Level episode very soon as well, which I'm really excited about because we need to do another one.
Yeah, we do. We've been slacking.
So we'll be out. We'll be releasing some stuff soon. So until then, talk to you guys.
Bye.